If you want to be present, you want your kids to be there too, right? But every day it feels like you're competing with those screens. You've tried time limits, taken devices away, even begged them to just be present for just 5 minutes. And still, it's like the phones are winning. Anyone feel like that? You're not imagining it. Digital distraction is real and it's rewiring our families. But what if it wasn't just a parenting problem? What if it's a wake up call? Mary Catherine has worked with families facing this very thing. And in today's episode, she'll be helping you understand how to break free, not only by going off the grid, but putting connection back at the center of your home. And if you're ever wondered how to raise a healthy, grounded family in this screen soaked world, this is a conversation for you. Welcome to the Mama Genius Entrepreneur Podcast, where real stories spark real transformations for moms ready to bring their visions to life. I'm Michelle DeKaiser, a mom of three, entrepreneur, and your biggest cheerleader if you've ever felt pulled to create something bigger, whether it's a business, a book, or a movement, but also felt the weight of daily life slowing you down. You are not alone. In just 15 minutes, we'll dive into insights, strategies, and real stories for women like you. Let's bring your visions to life, starting now. Mary Catherine Luzinski is a licensed professional counselor and certified coach specializing in digital addiction. With over 13 years of experience and certified treating technology-based addiction, smartphones, social media, video games, she supports teens, adults, and families across the U.S. in her private practice and coaching programs. A passionate advocate for thriving families, Mary Catherine believes it's never too late to reset the relationship with screens. She's committed to helping parents take back the power, protect their kids' long-term mental health, and model intentional living online and offline. Mary Catherine, we are so excited to have you come to stage today. Welcome.
Thank you, Michelle. I am so excited to be. This is going to be wonderful.
This is such a problem in this day and age. For some of us as parents, we can't really imagine it because we didn't grow up with the phone in our hands like many of these kids are. And it really is a huge difference. Before we jump into that, what is your why behind wanting to work with this? What's your story that really impacted you to bring this forth?
As a counselor, I wanted to start working more with families rather than individuals. When I started down that path, I realized how many families had all of this fighting over screen use. This is a major problem. And if I can focus on this, maybe I can really help families. That's when I went down the path to certification. So just my passion for helping families.
Do you think, from your experience working with families and the screen time, how do you define that problem? What are some of the statistics or things that really open up the mom's ideas to how big a problem this really is?
In 2024, Politico magazine published a survey of 1,400 mental health professionals, and they asked them what they think is the cause of the steep rise in anxiety and depression in children. The number one cause listed by far was social media. The professionals working directly with the kids who are hurting the most are pointing the finger at social media and saying that's the problem. Some symptoms of digital addiction could be withdrawal from others. Go into your bedroom by yourself and just on your screen. Withdrawal, anger. If you ask your child to get off their screen or your teenager and they throw a big anger fit, that shows there's too much attachment. There's an unhealthy level of attachment to that device. They can have lower grades due to a lack of ability to focus, poor communication skills, less eye contact because they're not having those face-to-face conversations at dinner. They're staring at a screen and not being as happy as they used to be. I see so many teenagers who just have that flat zombie face that we're starting to see, and we have to realize and wake up, that's not normal. That's not okay. As a child and a teenager, that's your most joyful time of life. They're just flat. And you're just like, no, this is not right. Something's got to change.
I mean, you're so right on that in terms of when I saw your face go down, and I could see that and picture some of the teens I've seen, just that face, that discomfort and feeling, and really that dependency on something. I love how you told us some of the symptoms. Are there anything else that parents should be watching out with before we get into some of the solutions?
If you or your teenager are feeling exhausted but can't sleep, we stay up too late on our devices and missing that sleep, even when we are sleepy, not being able to fall asleep. That's a big problem. lack of motivation. This is especially with gaming, but also with social media. You have those dopamine spikes from the game playing. Then you can have dopamine depletion, which really affects your ability to be motivated about things. And so then we are laying on the couch. And that's definitely not good as well, not being motivated or seeming stressed or depressed, and you're not able to identify what's causing this in your teenager. That would be another thing to blame, is the screen if there's not another identified cause of the anxiety or depression.
Love how you're bringing out these ideas of what to look for. And so I'm going to take us to break from it, and then let's come back to what can we do about what we're seeing.
Okay.
Are you a mompreneur who feels a fire to create something bigger, a business, a movement, a message, but you don't want to do it alone? That's why I've created the Mama Genius Hub, a space where your vision is nurtured, your voice is heard, and your dreams grow alongside a supportive community. Inside the hub, you'll get bite-sized insights and strategies in 15-minute sessions. A community of like-minded moms who truly get it. Support to bring your vision to life without burnout. If ready to build your business and impact while staying true to yourself, join us today at connectingmamas.com. Your calling matters. Let's grow it together. This is such a systemic problem, and it's hard to imagine. We didn't grow up with it. And now they have phones in their hands as a baby. I'm seeing that everywhere. Let's keep them quiet. Here's a phone. And then we wonder how this happened.
Unfortunately, it can seem to be a very good babysitter, but we are really damaging those youngsters' brains and our relationship with younger children and teenagers as well. Most of us grew up pre-screen, so to speak. There was television, and too much television is not a good thing, but the interactive nature of social media and video games now is on another level. Realizing that the way we grew up pre all of this, handheld screens, we would consider that normal. And what we need to realize is that's actually critical for healthy child development. Getting them off that screen is what is going to allow their brain to grow in the way that it needs to integrate and to form the connections that it needs. The human brain is not fully developed until around age 25 or 26. What we expose our brains to or not helps to the way the brain turns out. That's a key piece of this. We're talking to a busy mom whose teenage or even younger child is just sitting there with the screen. She's been trying contracts. She's been trying to do. Where would you suggest coming to some starting point? Don't give up. Many parents have tried very hard, great parents. I'm sure your listeners are really trying to be great parents in this busy world. I can't fight with my teenager all the time. A lot of times you need to do a complete break, or what many people would call a digital detox, to say we're going to get all the way off for a period of time. Then we see what we want to allow back in based on how things are going and other factors. And so I, as a coach, hope to be there to help parents to prepare to do this, because even though going cold turkey can be the right way, you have to prepare a lot ahead of time. Because if your teenager has been on some sort of device, 6 or 8 hours a day, and that's taken away, you have to be very engaged. And that takes a lot of work. And so I help a lot with the preparation phase. It's up to the individual family, the parents, as to what do you allow back in. I've been very pleased recently with several companies that are now making phones specifically for teenagers that have a screen, but do not have the hardware to connect to the internet, so that you can have that communication when they're out at a friend's house. They can call you, text you, they can call their grandma, but not having the internet in their pocket. I like to give this example, whether they're at a friend's house or up in their bedrooms. It's easy for us to know, hey, I do not let my child spend the night at a stranger's house. That's just an automatic no. Don't know these people, you can't go. But when you allow your child or teenager to have access to the internet in their bedrooms, that is like a virtual sleepover. I have no idea who they're talking to, what kind of situation they're in, what kind of pressures they're facing. And it's like access to the world in their bedroom. And that's where so many get in trouble in so many ways. We've got to say, hey, no person, even us as adults, we don't need screens in our bedrooms. The bedroom and the bed is for sleeping. And we need good sleep. We need good sleep because when we don't, we're a grouch the next day. So putting high priority on saying, at the very least, we have to get screens out of the bedroom, and that's a must for sure.
I just want to reiterate that because I just love that quote. Access to the world in their bedroom. Look at all the things that are, no matter how many parent restrictions you put on the web, there's always workarounds. And you know what? You got to be honest, these kids are smarter at the web than we are.
If you're out there listening and you're like, oh, my child is sweet, they would never get into trouble online, that might be true for your child. Or you could say, my child isn't tech savvy, but they've got at least one friend who is, right? And that can say, hey, connect to this, look at that, right? And so you have to say, I can't police it. Parents who say, I look at all of the things my kid does online, I read all their texts. Unfortunately, we're just kidding ourselves.
Before we run out of time, I wanted to just circle back to a couple of suggestions you can give. You talked about the preparation of a digital detox, how overwhelming and continue. There are a couple tips you could give for that time period of what to do before that happens.
I would encourage parents to look back at their own childhoods and say, what were the things that I really enjoyed? Can we do some of those same things or a modern version of those things? Get your child re-engaged in those. Also, one of the best things is to find another family who wants to do the same thing and say, let's do this together. Our kids can get together in person to do activities, be outside, all of these things that are healthy for their brains to grow. I think there are enough parents out there that it could take some work, but you can find another local family who's like, yes, let's do this together. We can go on a family outing on Saturday and get away from the screens, connecting with another family, but also just saying, hey, we've got to get back to what we would call a normal childhood. Asking your teens and children to say, hey, give me your ideas. Let's have a brainstorming session with what you would like to do when you're not constantly on this video game.
I love that so much. And I love the idea that you said to set up the preparation first. Don't just yank the devices and say, this is enough, but let's set the stage for it. And I love the idea of engaging others and maybe even making a community event of it or something like where it's not just them feeling like you're singling them out. When friends and other people are doing it, you're going to have more buy-in. Mm-hmm. So I love that idea so much. Unfortunately, we are running time. So what I'd like to do first is tell everyone how they can get a hold of you. And if you have a gift or anything for the audience, let us know.
Sure. Well, just give me a call. I would love to hear from you and see how I can help. So my phone number is 501-290-7132. Or you can go to my website, which is lifewalkcoaching.com. That has more information about me as well. I want to be here to help families succeed. This is worth the hard work for your children to have that healthy childhood that they can have.
Well, thank you so much. We're going to put you backstage for just a moment to get some takeaways and bring you back for your final takeaway. A lot to process with this idea of digital detoxing, right? But it is so vital for growth. Takeaway number one is, what are some of the symptoms of withdrawal? Lower grades, poor communication, no eye contact. Keep that in mind because if they're looking at the screens, they're not even used to having that content more. So what are some of the things to look at? Takeaway number two is looking at, are they exhausted? Sleep, but they're trying to sleep. That lack of motivation, and keeping in mind that could be the dopamine hits and the dopamine depletion. So those are key things to be looking out for. Takeaway number three is something I love that Mary brought up. We had TVs and things when we were growing up, but the idea of what these devices are has that interactive nature that we weren't necessarily thinking about, and how that is going to hurt our child development even more. And think about that the brain develops all the way to age 26, right? And so how do we want that brain to be shaped? We got to step in as parents and really keep that vision in mind as we support our kids in this new world, this new digital world that is all around us. And then number four takeaway is really the idea of, you feel like you want to give up, but you can't give up, right? She brings up the idea of the digital detox and how that is the way to really see what it's like. I love how she says, once you've taken that break, you bring it on, but then start to decide what can come back and in what increments to really think about that. Bringing this to our last takeaway is the idea of what she said, to prepare before the digital detox. Things we can do is, what are some of the games you play as a childhood? Get some other families involved, other communities, and make it a community thing. Lastly, ask them, what things do they want to do that they haven't been doing because they've been behind the screens? I'd love, Mary, for you to come up and give us your final takeaway.
Yes, this has been great. I wanted to go back to brain development. One of the last parts of your brain to develop is your prefrontal cortex behind your forehead. This is where you have emotional intelligence and executive functioning skills, self control, decision making, problem solving, communication skills. All of those are right up here and they develop last. And so that's why teenagers have impulse control problems. Part of that is because their brain is not fully developed. If you are constantly on social media and video games, you're not accessing that part of your brain. You're not encouraging your brain to make connections, like the actual brain cells to grow in that direction to make those connections. And that's what we need for healthy adults. We need those skills, giving your child a chance to have that childhood, to have the best brain that they can have, and teaching your children about brain health, saying, let's get excited about this so that you can have all of these abilities instead of it always being focused on taking things away. We're adding in this.
I love that so much. And let's bring back that true connection with our families and having those conversations. We'll see all you all in the next episode. Bye, everyone. Mama, I hope you found something in these 15 minutes that sparked action towards your dreams. Remember, your purpose matters, your dreams are valid, and you are not alone. If today's conversation spoke to you, come join us at the Mama Genius Hub, where you'll find support, strategy, and sisterhood to turn your calling into real impact. Let's grow this together at connectingmamas.com. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. If this resonates with you, share it with another mom who needs to hear this. We'll see you next